Greetings, YouTube. I'm going to talk about the latest Star Trek video, and it's going to be chock full of spoilers. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want any spoilers, stop watching now. Okay, anyone still watching must not care. So my wife and I went to see Star Trek yesterday, on Saturday. And I gotta tell you, both of us were very impressed. Overall, the movie was fun, it was entertaining, it was well-paced, had lots of action, and enough Star Trek moments of intimacy and drama to make it fun. Apparently, I have a cat next to me who is clawing voraciously at a scratching post. I apologize. I love the look of the film because they captured that Star Trek first movie kind of look, and it had enough of a primitive industrial aspect to it. The ship didn't look as slick. It didn't have that 60s era big blocky panels and colorful objects that you never knew what they did. It looked much more like a ship. It looked like the pipes and the tubes and the wiring and control panels that made sense. Like you could walk up to them and with a little bit of work you could figure out what the heck they do. It looked like a ship, and I appreciated that. I appreciated the effort that went into it. But the guts of the technology throughout the film made me think of actual physical objects and not just props. So I was impressed by that. I thought the acting across the board was very good. I enjoyed the characters. I found them engaging. I did not have the fourth wall broken for me, and there was no moment where I'm looking at something going, oh, that person isn't Spock or that person isn't McCoy. They were able to portray these characters and yet still bring something new to them that I appreciated. And the best was the actor that played McCoy. His name escapes me at the moment. But he really was able to pull out of Forrest Kelly's acting style, which is admittedly strange, the little elements that made DeForest Kelly, and yet then take them into a new direction. And that was very enjoyable. Overall, the storyline was fun. It wasn't what I would call earth-shattering. It was, in some ways, almost a classic homage to the Star Trek films of the past, the original cast. I know some people have a problem because there's a time travel storyline. They are all upset about it. But after having left the theater, my wife and I were talking, and again, spoilers here, and by having the time travel storyline, by creating an alternative timeline in the Star Trek universe, Abrams has now set himself up so that he can go into any direction with this he wants to and never have to worry about conflicting with canon. Because if they hadn't used some kind of time travel reset, if they hadn't found a way of taking the Star Trek timeline of canon and headed in a new direction, all following films would just be remakes. Nobody needs to see that. People want to see new content, the new actors going in directions and doing things that they haven't done before. As someone online pointed out after having seen it, he made the statement, now anybody can die. And that's the reality. Nobody's safe. And that's fun. That element of uncertainty is what can keep things interesting. You don't know if a character that you're attached to is going to make it to the end of the film. Because now, it's still the Star Trek universe, but it's a Star Trek universe with new storylines, with new directions to head in, and that is cool. I also appreciated some of the little homages to classic Star Trek, like the person going on the away team in the bright red uniform, and you can imagine how long he survived. So again, if you're a Star Trek fan, old or new, go see this. For me, the capping a moment of this was when I was leaving the theater. My wife's in front of me, I'm behind her, we're walking past the front row. There's a gentleman sitting there looking at the credits. And he's old enough to have been a teenager when the first series ran all those many years ago. And he's looking at the screen, and his eyes have a little twinkle in them, and he had this sublime smile on his face. That he was an old-time fan, and yet he was happy. And for me, that sums up the success of this movie.